Hi guys, welcome back or welcome to Dreamworks Switch to Life. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing everything that we know Dreamworks is coming out with in the future. And for the record, I am in a new place, so that's why my voice sounds a little bit weird. But without further ado, let's dive into the video. The first Dreamworks movie that we have to talk about is Forgotten Island, and with the trailer out, I can say that it looks very interesting and it's definitely giving me Puss in Boots: The Last Wish vibes, which makes sense. It's made by the same directors and writers, so there's that. The film won't be in theaters until September 25th, 2026, but it did get an early screening at CinemaCon, and anyone who actually saw the movie fell in love with it, if their reviews are anything to go off of. Then the first Dreamworks film of 2027 is going to be Cocomelon the movie, which, yeah, I'm not really excited for, but thankfully Dreamworks isn't making this themselves. They're just handling the distribution, while it's actually being made by Moonbug Entertainment with animation from DNEG Animation. The film has a release date of February 26th, 2027, and, well, like I said, I'm not very excited for it because it's going to be a preschool movie, so there's that. We also have the live-action How to Train Your Dragon 2 remake, which is going to be in theaters on June 11th, 2027, and while we know it's going to be a remake of the second movie, chances are there could be a few differences. That being said, we also know a bit about the cast. Of course, we have the people from the original film returning, but we also know that our main villain, Drago Bloodfist, will be played by Olafur Dorri Olafsson, and that Ted Lasso will be playing Eret, son of Eret. And, of course, similar to how Stoic the Vast is played by his animated counterpart, Gerard Butler, well, Valka is going to be played by her animated counterpart, Kate Blanchett. And before we move on to other films of 2027, we need to rewind to 2026 and talk about how Shrek, the original movie, is going to be getting a re-release in theaters to celebrate its 25th anniversary on May 15th, 2026. And sure, you could say that that's useless news, but honestly, I think it could be useful because before the Shrek movie premieres, it's possible we could get a new teaser for Shrek 5. I mean, it just makes sense, right? But anyway, Shrek 5 will be in theaters on June 30th, 2027, so we'll have to wait a little over a year even if we get the teaser. That being said, we still don't know what the plot of this movie is, but we know it will involve Shrek and his now teenage kids, with Zendaya playing Felicia, Marcelo Hernandez as Fergus, and Skylar Gisondo as Farkle. And while it's not really confirmed, rumor has it that Puss in Boots will not be a main character in this movie, or if he is going to be in this movie, it's going to be a small cameo appearance, which honestly makes sense considering that now he's been bumped up to main character status, and he's also confirmed to have a third film in development, which probably won't begin production until after the Donkey movie finishes its production. And finally, we have two unknown Dreamworks movies with reserved release dates, one on September 24th, 2027, and the other on September 22nd, 2028. Honestly, I don't really know what these films could be. Be sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comments. But with that out of the way, it's time to dive into the TV show side of Dreamworks. The only show that's been officially renewed is Gabby's Dollhouse, which unfortunately we know that it has a renewal for up to 100 episodes, meaning that we could potentially see at least 3 more seasons, with season 14 confirmed to be coming out sometime in summer 2026. And the 100th episode, which won't be released until the final season, if it's the final season, won't be happening until 2027. The only other TV show that I'd say Dreamworks still has going for it is The Bad Guys Breaking In, or The Bad Guys the series, whatever you want to call it after the name change. But anyway, the show currently has 2 seasons with 19 episodes in total, and early rumors suggested that the series as a whole was given a green light for 30 episodes, meaning that we're not even close and there still could be one third and final season for the show. That being said, I also saw the season 2 ending for the series, and I thought it had a pretty good ending, all being said. It kind of feels like a finale, so maybe we will get a third season, maybe we won't. All we know is that a third season was given as a rumor. And now it's time for the unfortunate news. Unfortunately, Dreamworks shows have to leave Netflix at some point, and we know quite a few that will be leaving sometime this year, starting with Kipo, The Age of Wonderbeasts, and I highly recommend that you watch this series before it leaves on June 20th, 2026. Another show that could possibly be removed is Tales of Arcadia, and I don't mean one show, I mean the entire series. All 3 TV shows, from Trollhunters, 3 Below, and Wizards to the movie Rise of the Titans. Everything from the franchise will be removed from Netflix on July 21st, 2026. Now, the reason I say that is because Netflix employees made a list of when DreamWorks shows will most likely be leaving the streamer. And of course, they also said that it's possible Netflix could renew the license. Then at the start of 2026, Netflix then released a list of shows that would be leaving Netflix throughout 2026, and Tales of Arcadia was nowhere to be found on that list. My guess is, given the sheer popularity of the franchise, Netflix probably decided to renew the license, so it's possible the show could be leaving in July 2026, but it's also possible that Netflix renewed the license so the show could stay on the streamer a little longer. And since it wasn't on the leaving in 2026 list, I think that might actually be the case. However, the rest of the shows I'm going to mention are still on that 2026 list, including Rhymetime Town and its spin-off show Rhymetime Town Sing-Alongs, both of which will be leaving Netflix on November 15th, 2026. We will also be saying goodbye to the Boss Baby TV show Back in Business, but the sequel series Back in the Crib will still be on the Netflix streamer after November 17th, 2026. And the last show that we have to talk about is Dragon's Rescue Riders, a spin-off of the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, with its first 2 seasons going to Netflix and the later seasons coming to Peacock. That being said, Rescue Riders is going to be leaving Netflix on November 24th, 2026, and it would not surprise me if those seasons, as well as the specials that they made, will eventually appear on Peacock. And the last Netflix announcement that we have is that Gabby's Dollhouse the movie is finally going to be coming to Netflix. After its 4-month streaming period on Peacock, it has a Netflix release date of May 23rd, 2026. Granted, that's more of an estimate, but it is definitely going to be released this month. That being said, you can literally have a Gabby's Dollhouse marathon on one streaming service, so now's the time to start watching, if you really wanted to anyway. But speaking of, let's move over to Peacock. The only show that Peacock currently has in development is the live-action Casper the Friendly Ghost series, and sadly, we've known about this series since 2022, and we haven't gotten any updates whatsoever. So it's possible it could have been quietly canceled, and if it doesn't come out this October, I might just stop mentioning it. And with that in mind, let's move to our final streaming service. Dreamworks has actually signed a deal where they're allowing some other company to make a live-action She-Ra TV show that will basically serve as a spin-off to the live-action He-Man and the Masters of the Universe movie that will be coming to theaters on June 5th, 2026. So with that said, I could definitely see them secretly casting She-Ra to cameo in an end credit scene in the film, and then they will eventually make a live-action She-Ra TV show with the release date a year later in 2027 or 2028. Speaking of live-action movies based off of 80s classics, there's going to be a live-action Voltron film, and while we know a little bit about the cast and the characters they play, we know that this will be about King Alfor training the next generation of paladins to take over the mantle of the 5 Lions of Voltron. Despite having finished filming back in 2025, the film won't be released until 2027. My guess is that Amazon wanted to give it a time to shine in theaters, theaters, and they figure that 2026 is already so packed, 2027 has to be the time they release it. And the last announcement that I want to talk about is Universal Kids Resort, which is a new theme park that will be opening in Frisco, Texas sometime in the fall of 2026. It was scheduled to open in May this month, but, construction delays, stuff happens. So it's basically going to be a kiddie park with different lands centered around iconic franchises, 5 of which are from Dreamworks, along with SpongeBob SquarePants Bikini Bottom and Minions vs. Minions Land. There's also a Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Adventure Camp, Trolls Fest, where you can explore the iconic world of trolls and sing and dance with Poppy and Branch, Shrek Swamp, where you can interact with Shrek and his family, and of course Puss in Boots Del Mar, where you can just have a fun cat adventure. And speaking of, Gabby's Dollhouse and all of those characters will be there to introduce you to the park in the Isle of Curiosity. And that is everything that we know Dreamworks is coming out with as of May 2026. So to recap, coming this month, we have the 25th anniversary of Shrek, and it's going to get a re-release in theaters on May 15th, 2026. And chances are we could get a new teaser for Shrek 5 in front of it. And on May 23rd, 2026, Gabby's Dollhouse the movie will be leaving Peacock and coming to Netflix. And then sadly, we got some news about DreamWorks shows that will be leaving Netflix, starting with Kipo, The Age of Wonderbeasts on June 20th, 2026. And while I don't think this is happening because they might have extended the lease, there was a point where Tales of Arcadia is going to be leaving on July 21st, 2026. And I highly recommend that you watch the entire series from Troll Hunters to Three Below to Wizards all the way to Rise of the Titans. Then on September 25th, 2026, we're going to get DreamWorks' next official movie, Forgotten Island. And sometime in the fall of 2026, Universal Kids Resort will be opening in Frisco, Texas. And back to sad news of leaving Netflix shows, we have to say goodbye to Rhymetime Town on November 15th, 2026. Boss Baby Back in Business, while Back in the Crib will remain on the streamer, is leaving on November 17th, 2026. And finally, Dragon's Rescue Riders will be leaving on November 24th, 2026. Then DreamWorks will release quite a few films in 2027, starting with Cocomelon the movie on February 26th, 2027, followed by the live-action How to Train Your Dragon 2 remake on June 11th, 2027. Then we have Shrek 5 coming to theaters on June 30th, 2027. And then we have 2 unknown DreamWorks movies, one on September 24th, 2027, and one on September 22nd, 2028. Make sure that you leave your thoughts about what these films could be down below in the comment section. But with that in mind, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and please make sure that you can subscribe so that you can keep up to date on all things DreamWorks and help support the channel. Feel free to comment down below which of these projects makes you the most excited, but above all else, make sure that you're staying safe out there, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye bye.
Bring me my yoga mat! Oh, pulling out the wishbone. You are really trying to destroy the universe right now, aren't you?